All right, hi everybody. I'm Justin Whitehead from Cicis. Happy to be on this panel. When I was asked about this panel, I was asked to participate, and I told Aaron, well, we haven't had a loyalty program in 3 years. We're 85% dine-in. I feel like I could learn more from this panel than actually contribute, and so she said, well, why don't you moderate? So that's how they get you. Just be aware in the future. But no, it's great to meet these fine marketers. We've already had a conversation, so we will talk about re-engaging lapsed diners. I'll let them introduce themselves. Casey?
Casey Barile, I'm with Domino's Pizza. I know there's another Casey from another pizza brand here, and I'm not nearly as funny as he is, but hopefully this will be interesting. But I've been with Domino's for 11 years supporting our franchisees.
There for about 3 years. Before that was at Dickies. Which we've got about 150 locations in 32 states. Excited to talk about lapsed users, and yeah.
Yep. I've been with Cicis for about 5 years. I was consulting and freelancing with some of the franchisees, and I kind of Game of Thrones my way up into corporate. So that's been 6 years, and it's a great brand to work for, and I'm really excited about it. So I guess first, before we talk about re-engaging the lapsed guests, tell me about how you use data to identify lapsed guests and how you do that.
I can start. I think that we're a little bit out of an advantage because I know that hearing from some of the other concepts earlier that really have a lot of dine-in customers, ours is mostly gone through digital, so we do have that to our advantage, that we do have that data accessible to us. I would say when I started with Domino's 11 years ago, it was like a 50-50 split of digital versus walk-in guests or phone customers, and now it's more like a 80-20. So we have a lot more accessibility to that. So that I don't think is really fair for the group just because of how it's been switched. But really, the way we're defining it is people who haven't been to us in a year. So even when we do have phone data, we're looking at who's called us in the last year. And so we can still kind of go that way too.
Cool. How about you, Josh?
So we have basically loyalty is what we use to do 30, 60, 90-day lookout.
Yep.
And every period we're giving stronger and stronger offers to try and rope them back in. And then we also use that as like our social retargeting. We'll get ads to kind of get them to come back in as well.
Cool.
And then we have like a couple nudge campaigns also. So we've got like a journey set up. It's like once someone redeems that 30-day, I'm then like retargeting them again through the app. Same with the 60 and the 90, just to try and get them back into come back into our store more frequently.
Yeah. And do you use automated sort of campaigns at the 30, 60-day, 90-day level? Are those kind of the same offer, or do you personalize based on maybe what they've ordered in the past or how you got them back into the fold in the past?
They're all dollar-driven, right?
Okay.
So it's like 3 off 15, and then
Yep.
I think the 90 days a buy one, get one, because everyone loves a good BOGO.
Yep.
So that tends to work.
We recently changed our loyalty model. It used to be where you had to come in for 6 visits and then you would get a free pizza. And what we learned was there was more value in being able to have some of those quick wins. So we made it to where you could redeem 20 points instead of having to wait for you to get the full 60 for a free dip cup or a free beverage. And so we've noticed that that's really helped with that frequency play because people don't feel like they have to invest as much into us to be able to get something for free.
Yep, that's great. That's kind of an example of something that seems to have worked for you guys. Josh, any examples of a program that has successfully brought lapsed users back within loyalty?
So we have like a nudge campaign, I call it. And so our loyalty program is like based on points. So when you get 75 points, then you get a free sandwich. Mm-hmm. And so when someone's between 54 and 74 points, I'm sending out like a push notification, but I play on the 90s nostalgia. Because everyone loves a good 90s movie. Right now we're doing Speed, which is like pop quiz hot shot. You're this close to a free sandwich. Like, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And that seems to work.
How much was Keanu for that campaign? Did you? No. You didn't use Keanu.
I think he's too busy making John Wick movies.
Yep. What are some must-have elements in the digital experience to ensure ease of ordering and repeat visits? So Domino's has been best in class from an ordering standpoint for years, obviously. So what do you think is a must-have for other brands?
The biggest thing I would advise people as they're developing their online platform and really trying to target those loyalty customers is the time that they spend in the experience. You want to reduce the amount of steps as much as you possibly can, and you want to remove as many friction points as you can. So we try to really do a lot of testing to make sure that anything that we can do are going to save seconds. So that way we don't end up having the cart abandoned at the end of the experience. And one thing that we have learned doing through that is we've been able to do some personalization where if you've never purchased a beverage from us in the past, you're not going to get an upsell for a beverage. But if we know that you at one point in time ordered a dessert, we're going to make sure that you're going to see that before you go in there. So we're trying to be very mindful and selective on when those upsell moments show up to make sure that it really goes after that individual customer.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a page out of the PokeWorks, what she said.
Yep. I mean, it's hard to top Domino's, right? Like I was at Pizza Hut 15 years ago, and they're just killing us in the ordering experience. So, been watching them for a very
COVID made
long
a
time.
lot of players
Yeah.
catch up to us, and so we are absolutely having to stay on our toes because of how much that really forced people who weren't necessarily embracing that experience to come up. So we were the leaders, but I'm not going to sit here and say that.
I mean,
we
for us,
continue to lead that
for
space.
us, it just got us from 50% of our stores being even on online ordering to 100%. So we just we
That's a
got
big
table
win.
stakes from COVID. Still don't have an app. Okay, so as far as bringing back lapsed guests, should you double down on core products, order history? Do you use LTOs to entice lapsed guests? What have you seen work as far as LTOs or core menu?
Yes. So I think the answer is both, right? So I think you want to double down on what your core menu is because that's why people came into your restaurant to begin with. Yep. But LTOs are great also, especially if you have a fun LTO. We have one coming up. It's a pretty cool partnership. I'm not going to say what it is. I have to kill all of you like Whataburger would. But I think getting those partnerships with co-branding. So this one's with Avocado Mexico. But there's a lot of fun plays you can do to try and reach a new audience, but also remind people that you exist. Because LTOs are big PR things more so than to actually sell them sometimes. But then again, we can personalize and showcase what you have and remind them oh yeah, I love that turkey sandwich from Wich, and they'll come back.
I would agree that it's a combination of all of it. So we, similar to Arby's, we're an older brand, so you do have to do things to make sure that you stay relevant. But then there also are some of those core reasons why you've had people who have been loyal to you for so long. One of the things that we recently came out with, which I think was a surprise for a lot of people, was that we came out with a stuffed crust because we were by far the last people to come up with a stuffed crust product. But we had to get rid of that veto vote. So even though it's a very operationally challenging product, it was one of those things that we knew we had to do if we want to be able to be competing in those core customers that are looking for that type of product. So we try to be mindful of balancing things that are going to be operationally challenging with some of the value messages, and then whenever we can, we try to do news without SKUs just to highlight those core products.
Yep.
One thing too is we did a deal of a day. We just rolled it out in November, and we've seen increased frequency, and we've seen a lot of our guests come back that weren't coming in.
Nice.
And so we have all build your own, so every protein has its own bag. And so Monday through Friday, if you looked at our sales, we used to have a Wicked Wednesday, and that was a deal. So our sales were like a mountaintop. But once we introduced the bag of the day, we saw increased frequency, and our sales magically increased. People are coming in Monday for the Italian, which Monday is typically not a very good day for restaurants. It's one of our top selling days now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think for Cicis, our biggest winner for bringing back lapsed guests is just value. We're a value brand. We have a value guest. We do LTOs 4 times a year. I think we see more sort of new traffic and curiosity from that. They were really built into the calendar as a way to keep people coming back to the buffet more frequently, so they have different things to try. But we haven't necessarily seen that to be the case. It's bringing in new people. They put spaghetti on a pizza. I'm going to go check that out, right? We got a tater tots pizza out now, so that's more of a new guest strategy for us now. It's really all about value when we want to bring people back sooner. What do you think about as far as how do you use discounts to bring back lapsed diners, but without devaluing the brand? I think this was kind of discussed earlier in one of the other panels, but how do you think about the value proposition of the brand and not devaluing that as you're putting out price promotions?
Sure, I can start. It is a balance, and I empathize with our friends at Arby's of trying to balance between the national promotions that are a lot more value-driven with still wanting to make sure that we're maintaining profitability. And we do know that our national offers do play a lot more to those frequent diners and that they are looking for those. So we want to make sure that we are balancing that within that new news, even if it's not SKUs, where we can have a little bit more of a premium price point like our stuffed crust, so that way we can do a little bit of both, because it's absolutely critical that we have those value things, because there's so much value wars going on right now that whether we like it or not, we all have to work harder for less right now. And that's just the reality that it is in QSR. And so if we don't have the value, then we're going to be missing out on some of those consumers.
Yeah, I want to be careful not to be a Ruby Tuesdays, sorry if they're in here or not, and just have people so reliant on couponing. You know,
Yeah.
We're a premium sandwich brand, and so I think if you start to really give out those extra buy one, get one frees, first of all, you're going to piss off your franchisees, and then second of all, you're just going to devalue your brand. So we're really mindful of how many times we're discounting, even just $3 off, $4 off of like a $15 or $20 deal. That's all we really do.
Yep. What emerging trends or tactics are you testing to bring guests back?
Not necessarily to bring guests back, but just really trying to make sure that we're tapping into that younger generation. So doing a lot of new things of trying to make sure that we're not alienating our existing customer base while targeting that Gen Z audience, and how are we making them just as excited about this old pizza brand as their parents might have been in the 80s. And so it's been trying to make sure that we're in the platforms that they're in and just making sure that we're going where they are. I would say is probably like more of the emerging pieces.
Cool.
Emerging topic. So we're trying to do like a test menu in our app. So, a secret menu in our app. We're going to look at testing that and see, because we took away the faves and people were up in arms like, I can't believe you did that. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and test it and kind of bring the pre-built sandwiches back to make, again, you talked about like taking away that friction. So just kind of make it easy for everybody.
Because it's very build your own, but these are sort of sandwich recipes that are pre-made that they can just order one click, basically.
Right.
Cool.
Because again, I think someone said that we're becoming a lazy society, so just do it for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point. We had recently where some influencers, not hired by us, but just influencers out there that were showcasing their own version of a Domino's pizza, and it was this crazy combination that went viral. And so we leaned into that viral moment and we offered a discount for anyone who wanted to try the viral pizza. And that really helped not just hit a new generation, but also just capture a moment that's happening in time, because we know that those are very fleeting. So I would also say that if you can be nimble, I know that it's hard when you're getting a lot of things thrown at you, but there's also that balance of not wanting to miss out on some of those moments.
So Casey from Blaze earlier mentioned sort of the walled garden that third-party delivery is and the lack of data we get from that. Are you doing anything to convert third-party users to first-party users and then be able to capture sort of their visit frequency and determine when they're lapsing?
So someone mentioned earlier that it's really hard, especially with the Dash Pass and the Uber One. Like once people pay for that membership, they're likely not going to come to you. So what we did was that deal of the day that I mentioned, we don't have that on third party. So if you want that $7 sandwich, you have to come to our either in the store or order online through the app. So that's one way we're trying to tackle it. And then obviously we're like doing bag stuffers and whatever to try and drive people to order from us. But typically if you're on DoorDash or third party, whatever, you're going to go there.
I think it was Casey who said earlier about looking at it as more of a media platform versus looking at it as an actual separate order platform. And I think that that's a really critical way to look at it, they are an audience base that is used to that subscription model, but the goal is hopefully that they're customers that weren't going to be coming to your own party platform. So we want to continue to grow our first party. That's always going to be what's more profitable for us. That's how we actually get all that data, since they are stingy with it and they don't want to share that information with us. But at the same time, we can't deny that has become such a big necessity for us to all survive.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for us, we've stopped trying. We've just, a DoorDash user is a DoorDash user, and we're glad you're spending 25% extra plus tip. We'll take that, and we do sponsored ads. We advertise on those platforms. We get a great ROI. So, it's dwarfing our first-party website ordering, and we're kind of okay with that right now. Because again, off-premise is 10% of our business. So, okay, well, we are at 5 minutes, so I think we want to do Q&A.
We do want to do Q&A. I think also this is the first time that, Casey, you've been mentioned in every single presentation that we've talked about today. So
I'm going to just assume that
for Casey Terrell for coming throughout the entire programming.
He's drunk with power.
I was going to say, from now on, I'm just going to assume that anyone who said that Casey said something smart, it's going to be something I say to you at dinner tonight. So when Casey's being referenced, it could be either one of us.
I think there's like 5 Caseys here. Raise your hand if you're Casey.
Oh, look at that. And we have a question right here.
Hi, my name is Lauren Albin from Locality. And this is really for anyone in the room. Just with everything going on in the economic climate right now, we've seen a lot of national spending kind of stop. But specifically for automakers, they're continuing to spend at the local level. So I was just wondering, with what's going on, are y'all making any shifts to your local plans?
There's an economic thing going on right now? Didn't hear. Yeah, I mean, we have to be mindful about what we're spending, right? And just, you don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. So maybe taking down a little bit just to be careful. I mean, you saw what happened with COVID, right? I don't think we're going to drop levels to that, but I think you just have to be a little cautious and just kind of wait out the storm a little bit.
I think it's been one of the biggest drivers for that evil word we said earlier with the performance-based marketing. So because of where we're at in an economic climate, it really does feel like we have to justify why we did every campaign we did. So our spending is not necessarily less, but it's a lot more mindful of things that we can actually measure to prove an ROI to our franchisees, because we don't have the luxury right now to just have branding campaigns.
Yeah, I think for us, it's less about media spend and more about messaging, just value-driven messaging, pulsing in discounts, and then trying to, bring people back more frequently.
Another question over here.
Mostly for Aaron, but go Gators. So I'm Jeff with Jeff's Bagel Run. I am a Domino's stan, mostly because in 2018, Dave Chang said it was his favorite pizza on his Ugly Delicious TV show. And I was like, oh, I should probably revisit Domino's. And I was like, oh, there's an app, and my family loves it. One of the things that always gets me as a lapsed diner, because we don't eat Domino's every day, the app notifications, and I am a person who doesn't care about their privacy, so I'm like, turn it on, send me the notes, I want to see all of it. But not everyone does that. So how do you capture those customers so that they get your notifications? Because every time I get a notification, it's great little copy, it's cute, my kids will see it pop up on the phone and they'll be like, ooh, Daddy, order Domino's. So talk to me a little bit about that, because I think that to me is like, this is the attention device of our generation. So you're doing it really well, and I just wonder what that's like.
That's a great call out, and that's because we are so digital focused. Our tracker is one of the things that people really like about our first-party platform, is that you can actually track where your order is going. And to get that, you have to have our notifications turned on. So by having that turned on, so that way you can see where your pizza is, the idea that you're going to go back and turn it off when you're not doing your order is probably going to be a lot more slim. So we capture you to be able to want to get our push notifications as well.
All right, Justin, Casey, Josh, thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.